Hi, I'm Jerry Ford. Welcome to my studio and welcome to our Mug Rug of the Month Club for the month of November 2023. So we're going to make this adorable little mug rug for Thanksgiving. If you'd like a copy of this free design, then send me an email at waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to send you a copy of the PES embroidery file as well as the written instruction sheet. If you'd like to join our Mug Rug of the Month Club, then send me an email and just say, add me to the Mug Rug list, and I'll be happy to send you the future mug rugs every month, about the first of every month. Okay, for this project, we're going to need a few things, but this project is mostly made up of scraps, so pretty much whatever you already have in the house probably work. You need your 5x7 hoop, and I'm using a tearaway stabilizer, but you could use a no-show mesh thin cutaway stabilizer if you like. You'll need a piece of batting about 6 inches by 6 inches. You're going to need some background fabric. It could be, I'm using white, but you could use a cream or a light print. Again, I'm using it out of scrap, so a 6 by 6 inch piece should be fine. For the backing, you're going to need either 2 6 by 9 inch pieces because it's going to fold in half. You'll need 2 of these, fold them in half crisply. Or you could use two single pieces that I've simply folded over and just stitched it down so that I have a single hem. If you're doing that, you'll need maybe about a 5-inch long scrap piece of fusible web. But I'll show you more. The instructions say to fold it over. However, I like a little bit thinner mug rug, so I'm making it a single layer. Okay, you'll need some scrap fabrics. For the body and a couple of the feathers, you're going to need like a beigey brown print or a solid, doesn't matter. This will be for his face, his body, and a couple of the feathers. For his wings, I chose a dark brown. For some of the feathers are going to be a deep red and a harvest gold. So these three colors will make up the feathers because I'll also use that for some of the feathers. You need a scrap piece of brown for his wings, and you're going to need a scrap of orange about 6 inches by 3 inches in order to stitch the pumpkins. Now, the threads that I used regular embroidery bobbin thread in my bobbin, and for my needle colors, I've selected obviously an orange for the pumpkin, harvest gold for some details, green for the leaves, a kind of greenish brown, or it could be brown for the stem of the pumpkins. Here you can see them better this way. And I'm picking a burnt orange, a dark orange for the detail work on some of the pumpkins. Then I have red for the turkey waddle, and a black for details like his eyes and stuff, and a brown for the outline work on the turkey itself. So let's get started. You're going to need to load the November mug rug file into your embroidery machine. Hoop your 5x7 frame with the stabilizer. Okay, I have put the design in my machine and here it is. I'm ready to stitch it. I'm going to stitch color stop number 1. Now I'm using brown thread in my needle. I've just used that so you can see. Otherwise, you want to use a light color. Okay, and the first thing it's going to do is going to give you placement for the batting. I'm going to put my batting on top so that it covers all of the stitching. You could also use like Insulbright. Will also make a very nice mug rug. Okay, and I'm going to stitch this down. Just smooth it out. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away the excess batting from outside of the stitching lines. This is going to give you a flatter seam whenever you're assembling your mug rug. So you want to cut fairly close to the stitching line. Don't worry about cutting. If you cut a few stitches, that's fine. Helps to have a curved pair of embroidery scissors as well. There we go. It's easier to do this on a table. Okay, I'm returning the hoop to the machine, and this time I'm going to stitch down my background fabric. Okay, I'm placing my background fabric on top of the stitching, leaving about a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. It can be more, preferably not less. And this has got a slight texture. Just make sure you put it right sides up. Okay, and then I'm going to tack down the fabric. Okay, color stop number 4 is going to show you the placement for some of the feathers. You can start with any color you like. I'm going to put the gold here. So I'm just going to put this on top of so that it covers all of the stitching. Make sure everything's covered. And now it's going to stitch down 3 of the feathers. Okay, now I need to take this to the table because I'm going to be cutting away all the excess fabric from around these 3 feathers. There's a total of 9 feathers. So I'm just going to take this over to the table. All right, so now I'm just going to take my little curved embroidery scissors and carefully cut around the edges. I want to get that a little closer. So what I'm going to do is put my finger underneath of it so that I don't push through. And this gives me a little bit of leverage to get some of these extra little bits out of here. I'm going to go ahead and return this to the machine because it's going to do another 3 feathers, for which I'm going to go ahead and probably select this color, this brown. Then I'll come back and cut them out, and then I'm going to do the red. Okay, so now I'm going to do the placement, which is color stop number 6, which is going to give me placement for 3 more. This is some cute directional fabric, and I'm actually going to go ahead and cut this up into like 3 pieces. So I'm going to be very careful because I'd like those to follow the feather line. So I'm just going to cut this one into 2, and then this one is enough for that top. Okay, so this should be enough. Okay, I'm just going to do one at a time. I'm going to take careful watch of it. I'm going it this way. Alrighty, and let that stitch. As soon as it finishes stitching here, I'm going to stop it. Raise my presser foot, put this piece down. The way the print is going directionally. And again, once this is over, I'm going to take this back to the table and cut it. Okay, here's stitch color stop number 8, and for that it will give me the placement for the last 3 feathers. All right, then I'm going to put this red over top, which is the last set of feathers I'm doing, so it covers all of the stitching, and that's good enough. And after this, I will go back to the table and cut it, because now we're going to finish working on the feathers, and next we work on the body. Okay, I will be right back. All right, all of the feathers are cut out. Like, there's lots of little pieces in here. So next we're going to do a sealing stitch, which is going to be a satin stitch all the way around these applique pieces on the outside in order to seal in the edges of that fabric. All right, we're done stitching the feathers. So now we're going to start working on the body. We're on color stop number 11, and it's going to give us the placement for the body. I'm still going to use brown. I'm going to use this feather fabric again. Actually, it's wheat, but whatever you like, and then I'm going to just stitch down the body. I'm going to go ahead and take this and trim it really close. Then I will be back. Okay, color 13 is going to give me the placement for the wings. And I'm going to use a dark brown, but you can use any color you like. You don't need much. And color 14 is going to give me the tack down. And once again, once this is tacked down, then I'm going to go ahead and cut out the 2 wings. Okay, I will be back when this is done stitching, and I will have cut out the 2 wings. Okay, I already cut out his little wings here. Did them in the dark brown, and I'm going to now stitch number 15, which is going to be the placement for his head. And again, I just need a little scrap for this. Use this little wing fabric here, or this little wheat fabric for the body and for some of the feathers. I'm going to turn it over and use the wrong side of the fabric, which is a lighter color, for the head. That way you have the same fabric, just a lighter tint of it. So don't be afraid to use the back of the fabric for your applique. Okay? Okay, we're good. The color stop number 17 is going to do these 2 edges of the body. The instructions say to use dark brown. However, on my sample, when I wrote the instructions, I used dark for the body and light for the wings. This time I've changed it up. So this time I'm going to do the light, which is a light brown on the bottom. Color stop number 18 is going to stitch around the wings, and again I'm going to use that dark brown again. Before I do that, could I have color sorted this so that it would do the head as well as the body at the same time? Yes and no. The reason I separated them into extra color stops is because I want this satin stitch to go over top of the end of the little body parts. So therefore, you don't want to color sort these. Okay, now it's going to stitch the satin stitch around the wings. And I will be back as soon as it is done stitching. Color 19 says dark brown, so it'll do the underside of the face, but since I have a light face, I'm going to use a light brown. Okay. Again, I will be back when this is done stitching, because the next thing we're going to start stitching is going to be the details on the bird itself. Okay, done with the bottom of the face. Now we're putting in red, which is color number 20, for the wattle, which is a nice bright red. All right, and next, here's the wattle. Okay, next is going to be black for his hat, and his eyes. And again, I will be back when it's done stitching that. And there's his little details. How cute is that? Okay, so now color number 22 is going to ask for a deep gold, but I'm going to use a metallic gold in here. Now, a lot of you have problems with metallic thread, and here's why. Metallic thread is loosely wound aluminum foil around a nylon or a polyester core. Here's the reason it causes so much problems. Look at all the stretch it's got. That stretch is actually what you have problems with whenever you're stitching with metallic thread, is because your thread is stretching and the hook is not catching the loops that are formed on the bottom. So there's a few things that you need to do to make sure you have success with metallic thread. First of all, you want to buy a good quality thread. I like to use metallic thread by Superior, Madeira, all of the major brands. The thread is pretty good. Every machine sort of has what brand it likes and which one it doesn't. My machine happens to like the Robeson Anton and the Superior. Stay away from cheap threads. I always tell people, if you spend less than $12 a spool for a spool of metallic thread, leave it alone. You're asking for trouble. The second thing you want to do is you want to have it come off of the spool without any back pressure. If you don't have a built-in spool holder that is vertical like this, then I recommend getting one of these. These are very nice to have. They work for cones. They work for a lot of things. But being able to pull the thread straight up and come out and then feed it into your machine. See how this, I don't know if you can see it, but this thread is coming off with little to no back pressure. It's that back pressure that's going to cause the stretching and cause loop formations not to happen correctly. So first of all, you want it to be coming off the end with no back pressure. And I'd say that's even true if you have a stack wound thread. This is called cross wound. You can see the X's in here, and that means it's designed to come off the end of the spool. But when you've got something like Madeira thread, and I think some of the Superiors, they're designed to come off the spool this way. That's going to cause more back pressure and cause that stretch to happen. So even with the stack wound thread, I'm going to have it come off the end. Okay. Next thing you want to do is to make sure you have the proper needle. Using a regular embroidery needle is not going to do it. You want to use either a metallic needle, which is designed for metallic threads, and how it's different than a regular embroidery needle is that the eye is larger. It's usually coated in Teflon to resist any friction. If you can't get a hold of metallic needles, use a size 14 top stitch needle. Top stitch needle is very similar to an embroidery metallic needle, except the point of it is almost always a sharp. The eye is even bigger than the eye of a metallic needle, and the groove going down the middle of your needle is deeper. Okay, that's a good thing. Superior threads call the top stitch needle the magic needle. If you have problems with stitching, whether it be with batiks or quilting or a lot of things, try switching to that size 14 top stitch needle and it will usually work. You also want to slow down your machine. So let's go to my settings page where it says maximum embroidery speed. For most of embroidery, I like to stitch at 700 stitches per minute. This machine goes a lot faster, but I find I just have a better stitch with 700 stitches per minute. But for metallic thread, I'm going to go down the lowest speed it will go, which is 350. So we want to go nice and slow. Okay. The other thing here is you want to change your tensions. Normal tension for embroidery is 4.0. For metallic thread, I'm going to go down to 3.0, which is a big change in the tension on the needle. However, also be prepared to go even lower. Less tension means less stretching, okay? And sometimes you just have to babysit the thread. Just sort of keep an eye on it. The minute you detect any kind of straining with your machine, stop and just pull off some of that thread. And I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so it's ready to stitch. Have I already threaded it? Yes. Okay, so here we go. I want it to go nice and slow. Even if I have to take the thread from the top and pull it down like this and just sort of keep my hand on it so I can feel any kind of tension. So I'm sort of babysitting this through just to make sure that I don't have problems. There we go. Okay, and it did it. Did it absolutely beautifully. Here, let's take a look at it. I have to cut a jump stitch, but look at the beautiful job it did. Okay, without any problems at all. Yes, it pulls the gold to the back, but I'd rather see that than broken thread. So I'm going to return it to normal, which means I am going to return this to 4.0. I'm going to go to settings page and return my speed back to 700. And you can leave your top stitch needle in to finish it. Although if they're scarce in your house, I would go back to the regular embroidery needle. Okay, so now the next color, it's asking for a lemon yellow. I'm just going to use that regular yellow or that harvest gold that I have in order to do the beak. And now I'm stitching the beak in just a yellow rayon thread. It has stitched out his little beak. All right, so now we're going to start working on the pumpkin. So the first thing it asks for is a dark brown in order to stitch out the stems of the 3 pumpkins. We stitch those first, but instead of using the brown, I'm going to go ahead using this brownish green. Okay, and I will be back when it's done stitching. All right, it finished the stems, so the next color, which is color stop number 25, is going to give you the placement for the last piece of applique, which is going to be the pumpkins. Okay, I'm putting scrap on here. Okay, and tack down. Okay, for the last time, I'm going to remove this from the machine, and I'm going to go to the table to cut out the applique piece. Okay, now I'm going to trim the pumpkins. So I am going to start at the bottom because I'm going to leave fabric along the bottom. I'm not going to trim the very bottom. Okay. I am going to trim the sides and the top. And why I'm doing that is because I want this fabric to get caught into the seam at the bottom of the mug rug. Okay, so now I have already returned this to the machine. I've put in like a burnt orange color, a dark orange, in order to do the lines on the pumpkin. Okay, and so now it's just going to stitch some details. And this is color stop number 27. And see, now it's doing the dark pumpkin lines. Okay, it did the lines first. So if you want, this is all one color. Color stop number 27 is the last color that we're using for the details on the pumpkins. So it'll do the detail lines first. If you've decided that you want the outside to be a different color, then what I would recommend is going ahead and just break your thread and stop in the middle. I want to change it, so I'm going to take this burnt orange off, and I'm going to put on a good old orange that matches my fabric. So I can see it's starting to do the zigzag. I don't have to change that under stitching there, so that's good. All right, then I'm going to finish this with the regular tangerine orange. It's not going to show through. The darker is not going to show through. Stitching is heavy enough. Okay, this is going to take a little bit of time. So it's going to take a little bit of time, so I will be back when it's done stitching. Because after this, we just stitch the leaf details and then we're done. Okay, it's stitched all this detail work. I switched to green in the needle, and now I'm going to stitch the leaves, and that's the last detail bit. Okay, it's finished all of the detail work. So now it's to put the back on. I've put white in the needle and in the bobbin. You either have 6 by 9 inch pieces that you would have folded them together, gave them a crisp press, and these would go over top of the stitching so that it covers everything. The fold part in the middle, overlap it by at least an inch, just make sure it covers all the stitching, and then you would go ahead and stitch that down. I don't want mine that thick, so what I'm going to do is I have my fabric, a single layer of fabric that I simply folded over a 1/2 inch and stitched it down. My fabrics are right sides together or wrong side up. And I'm going to overlap these by about an inch. Try to get them on straight. Okay, and you can either take your tape and tape it down just on the outside, or if you're brave, you can hold it. And I guess that's probably about right. And I tend to hold it because of the fact that I have a baby lock, which can slow down to a crawl. I'm going to lower my presser foot and I'm going to start stitching. But see this button? I'm going to hold it on in. Let's see which way it's going, because I'm ready to stop it at any moment's notice. Okay, it's going that way. So I can come over here. When I get near the other end, going to stop the machine, and I'm going to very slowly there we go, hold it in. I'm going to see now I've cleared it, so I'm good to let go, and it'll resume speed. Okay. Same thing here. I'm going to slow it down as soon as it approaches the fabric. Stop it. And I'm going to watch it hold that in to make sure that doesn't pull up. Okay, it has cleared it. And it's going to go around twice. If you're worried about it catching on this side, again, slow it down, because I can stop it in a moment. Okay, we're good to go. It's cleared, the foot's cleared the edge. And I didn't get that perfectly in the center. That's okay. I would measure it if I were really concerned. Okay, again, slow down, because this right here is in danger of flipping up, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to carefully go, okay, I've cleared, the foot's cleared the fabric, and we're good to go. Okay, this is done. Hey, I'm just, because it's a tearaway, this is so easy to remove. I'm just going to grab my fabric and just pull towards the center. Take that tape off. I don't need that. There we go. that's removed. Okay, now I just need to trim this. You can trim it one of two ways. Just trim it with scissors will be fine. About 1/4 of an inch away. These are curved, so I'm going to do some cuts around the curves. So I'm cutting about 1/4 of an inch. And see, I left that extra orange fabric. It's going to be caught in the seam. That's fine. That's wonderful. Now, these are rounded edges, so I usually like to clip away any extra here. Anytime you can get rid of bulk, it's good. Okay. Now, I could either take my scissor and cut notches out of these corners. That'll help the fabric lay flatter. Or if you're lucky enough to have a pair of pinking shears, it's even better. Because now this is going to trim that for you, put in the notches for you. Don't have to do it all the way around, and be careful not to clip your seams. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn it. Use the point turner to help poke out the corners. And then I'm going to give it a good press. Now, not this side, this side. For some reason, the fabric pulled in a little bit, and I'm seeing this dark line, and that's from when I basted the top layer onto right at the beginning, like that color stop number 2. You can eliminate having to remove this, because I'm going to have to remove it. I'm not happy with it, as I'm just going to take a seam ripper and take it out. However, if you don't want to do that, I recommend anytime I'm having to baste on fabric like this, I will usually use wash away thread in my needle, and that way when I'm finished, all I have to do is wet it and it'll dissolve away. This is dark, so I'm going to have to go ahead and remove this stitching. Getting ready to press it, but first I want to remove any remaining jump stitches or little stray threads. Okay, good. I'm going to press this right sides down on a mat. Embroidery is always best done on a mat or a towel. Get these nice crisp edges. Now this is still open. You don't have to seal it closed. If you want to, you could either hand stitch it or take a bit of this as just a little bit of usable web and just tuck it underneath between the layers. And sometimes it's just easier to place with a pair of tweezers. There. Okay, nice and straight. Tuck it inside. And this little mug rug is done. Isn't that cute? Love it. Okay, so if you would like a copy of this design and the written instruction sheet that goes with it, be sure to send me an email at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, and I'll be happy to send it to you. It's a free design in PES format. If you would like to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, then also send me an email and I'll be happy to send you future designs. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And hit the notification bell. That way you'll be apprised of any new videos that come up. See you later. Bye.